this, make me talk. Yep. Yeah, sounds cool.
HiSec Buyback offers a 90% JITA anywhere in HiSec. Simply go to HiSec.evebuyback.com, appraise your items, create a contract, and get paid quickly.
All right, welcome Talking Stations for Thursday, October 7th. My name is Rundle Report, and in the background I got Manicsar tonight.
Hey guys, how's it going?
All right, tonight's, little things are a little slow in Eve. Apparently, I don't know, maybe there's a whole new world out there for people to explore going on. Eve's been a little slow, but we're going to cover some news. It's going to be pretty quick. It's maybe a 30-minute show. I'll see how much I start talking. Cover some news, cover the economic report. That's what I want to kind of talk a little bit about tonight. I'm sure some other people will dig into it, but I noticed some interesting things that we'll cover there. So we'll just jump right in. So let's start with the monthly economic report right off the bat here. You can definitely tell that things, I think for me, the biggest thing right off the bat is things seem to be returning to normal in Delve. If you look at the summary of key economic figures by region, the net exports, not a lot of stuff leaving yet, so they're not necessarily building anything yet, but the mining is way up and the bounties are way up. That's the largest bounty region again, so a lot of crabbing, a lot of mining, and you can see the production number is up, so they're rebuilding and restocking. They're not exporting a lot yet. They're importing things that they're missing, so they have a pretty big import index. So Goonswarm Federation and friends that are in Delve are back at making up for all the losses. So it's certainly a lot of stability in that region for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing how fast they got everything back on track after what they just went through. It's a testament to how organized they are, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. There's an interesting boost in mining in the Genesis area, which is mostly like a low-sec region. I think there's a mining value by region, which is a bar graph. You take a peek at that. You see that Genesis is way boom, like over 2,000 billion in that region, and Genesis is an interesting place for that to happen, right?
Yeah.
So what? Yeah. So it's a lot of low sec, and so what we're hearing is that there's a number of low sec groups getting a moon mining empire going. So it seems like there's lots of stuff going on there. So maybe there's some low sec PvP opportunities over in the Genesis region. Not that I would want to call a group out, but
well, hey. You never know.
Yeah. You never know what could happen there, right? All right, let's see. There was one other area. Where was it that I wanted to look at? Oh man, brain fart. So if you keep scrolling down and you look at the imports and exports by region, I think this was the one I wanted to look at. Yeah. Imports and exports by region, right? And so the Citadel obviously is usually, Citadel and the Forge are obviously really big ones because they're right next to each other. But there's some interesting growth in Metropolis, I think, and in Essence, but mostly in Metropolis. And then there's that Genesis as well, right? So they got something's happening there, I think, with that mining. And Metropolis has done pretty good for itself in around the HEC region, right, for imports and exports. So to me, I think that those are relative size comparative to like the Forge, which is always the biggest. They're like half the size in those regions. Normally, I don't recall them being that that large relative to the rest. They're usually more, maybe a third of the size, not half. So I don't know what's going on there. It's hard to track that down. A lot of that stuff, often the economy stuff. Obviously, this is a month old, so it's not like we can go. You can usually go and ask them, "Hey, what's exactly happening at this moment?" You got to kind of look at what's been happening in the game a little bit. I think a lot of this is rebuilding and readjusting, where I think the people who have gone through the wars are moving, have kind of allocated some resources and some work in low sec and in high sec to try to rebuild things, right? And so when you're importing and exporting, that's usually what happens. You bring a lot of the materials in and then export the ships. So you get a pretty good import export because they're almost equal, right? They're not overbalanced.
Right.
Like it's in versus out, right?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Also, this could be some of the changes to the trade routes, and we could see some other markets actually coming up. But I'm not a market expert. I hate to comment too much on it.
Yep. All right, those are just a couple of high points that I wanted to talk about today, because I thought, as I was perusing the economic report, I thought it was kind of interesting. The last one would be the velocity of ISK. It recovered for a little bit after the war was called off, but it seems to kind of be back in its kind of downward trend, which is, I guess okay, as long as it's not sharply declining. But some people will want to track that a little bit closer. So, all right, let's move on here a little bit. If anyone in the audience also has any, if they've looked at the September MER and has any, any points that they want to, call out, I'd, feel free to just do so in the audience, or any questions. Normally we have a group of people that picks these apart, and they'll do that over the next, week or so, and there'll be a show next week. A lot of times Artemis will do it on the Tuesday, so we'll probably have a more in-depth, tear down of the whole economic report for you guys here on Talking Stations in the future. So we did have some notes. Let me just finish this on the monthly economic report, that it also seems that some of the wormhole blue loot is trending down, and apparently OPE was also as well after spiking from the Rogue Drone event, right, that just ended. So the Rogue Drone event's down. So a couple of those ISK faucets are kind of going down. So I don't know, do you think, Manicsar, is that just overall trend of maybe people not playing as much, or do you think this is just a shift in what's happening in the game?
Wormhole space is odd, so it's hard to say specifically, but I do think there's a lot of stuff going on right now, other game releases. So it could definitely be a downtrend, but like you said earlier, this is a month old, so we're not seeing the current data. And we did have a pretty good dip in the overall player base there that was online, so that could just be that. I know the numbers did start to recover during this month, so it definitely could be just when a lot of people playing at that time.
Right. It will be interesting to see the October report, which comes out in November, to see what impacts a game like New World, which has just launched and has had a lot of run up and a lot of interest, and big fanfare and all that fun stuff. See what sort of impact to the player base and the indices and all the work, the production flow, and just money coming in and out and moving around the world. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, so. I know myself, I've been playing pretty heavily. I probably have over 80 hours into New World since it launched. But that being said, I'm not seeing it have the longevity as Eve. So definitely we'll be coming back to Eve probably after the level cap and a few more things get done there. For myself, right. I can see myself losing interest as there's not doesn't seem to be like a whole ton of stuff to do in game just yet.
Yeah, that could change. I mean, they got to get people playing and get some players and player base started. I was talking to a friend who recently started as well. It's Eve-like. There's some Eve-ish elements to it in terms of how the game is played, all very PvP centric. There's places that are conquerable. There's a politics background system that is happening out of game, and so there's a political meta game that's happening already, and trading of, well, all right, if this city is going to fall, but if instead of, we'll trade you this city if you give us those two other cities or ports or whatever it is. And that sounds a lot like you're going to lose your keep star, or you can give it to us and we'll give you this, or trade this region for that region. And a lot of that's happening on Discord or back channels. And so I find that interesting. It's very soon, but I'm probably going to want to me, that interests me as a player in Eve to see if there's another game that can pull off stuff like that. And it'll be interesting just as a gamer to see how that translates. And so maybe we'll do a show here in a week or two, see if we can draw some parallels and see if, I don't know. It would be hard to draw a parallel, only after 3 weeks or 4 weeks. There's been a pretty long beta, but I don't know. It'd be maybe neat to try and talk about it sooner rather than later.
Right, absolutely. And that's been my experience. I know the company I'm in, which is corporations, right? They call it companies, not corporations. But the company I know, we have formed a pseudo alliance with other companies in our faction to kind of help hold our assets we have, our zones that we control right now. So there's definitely some, cooperation amongst different companies and alliances being formed, and organization is huge. The more organized you are, the better you're going to do in New World, because there's a lot of benefits, and it's very important that you control and you be able to defend your zones. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, it sounds very. I mean, if you took a couple words or changed a couple words, you could easily be talking about Eve, right? And so, from a gaming point of view, and even from an Eve point of view, it's probably worth us to talk a little bit about this and at least track it and understand it.
Well,
Because it could have pull or push in terms of player base, right?
Right, and myself, I'm in Wrecking Crew in Eve, and the company I'm in, I randomly picked the server and randomly joined this company, and two of my company mates that I've been playing with are in Fire Coalition, who we are at war with in Eve. So, that's just weird that we had two Eve players I met in a random company I joined. So there's definitely some Eve players playing New World right now, for sure.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll, you just kind of touched on another topic off base, but I did not realize you're in Wrecking Crew, but I'm over in AARP, which is part of Fire. And so maybe I'll come blow up some of your space while you're playing New World.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on with that right now.
All right. All right, let's get off of New World. We'll do a show on that and draw the parallels. And thank you very much to Gurav for the article, where someone has already really drawn a parallel. The title of the article is "New World is already giving me flashes of EVE Online," so I'll read that. Just from the descriptions of friends, I mean, it sounded very, very close already. So appreciate it. It sounds like other people are thinking the same. So we'll try and talk about that on a different show. Let's talk about people getting together in person with lots of money and showgirls and debauchery. I mean, everyone knows where this is going to be, right? Eve Vegas. So Eve Vegas is coming up for those people. I don't know if I'm going to make the drive out. I did not get tickets, but I don't know. I'm toying about I'll just hop in the car and drive to Vegas and meet up with people for drinks and maybe not do too much of the show of the actual Eve, the Eve stuff, the Eve, whatever they're going to do. Just meet afterwards for the debauchery and the drinking. That can be fun. So there's some stuff on Reddit. It's a couple weeks away. Apparently, CCP is helping out a little bit. People who signed up and bought tickets are going to get a random Friendship League skin for either the Nestor, Stratios, or Asteros. So that's pretty nice. They look pretty good. Actually, some CCP people are coming across. CCP Aurora, who's a community developer, CCP Nocturne, who's a QA analyst, and CCP Ice Cream, who's a game master. So kind of decent cross section there. You can talk to one of the community people. A whole bunch of people can talk to CCP Nocturne about the quality assurance and how they test the game and how they push things live or not live, and maybe have some fun conversations there. They're going to have some swag packs. Apparently, they're going to have to raffle those off. Not every person will get one, so that's pretty good. So it's going to be a bunch of people. There is a Discord, so we will put that link here in the chat. And I think all you need to do is search Reddit evevegas21 online if you're listening afterwards, if you want to see all the people going. And if you happen to be going there and you haven't caught up with who's going where what, there's a big long list of alliances and groups going. So should be a pretty solid showing. I'll put that link here. All right. All right, so eVegas, if you got tickets, great. If you don't, maybe there's a way to crash because that's where the boat I'm in. I'll see. If I find out more, I will let you know. All right, so development. Let's talk about third-party developer blog that is put out today by CCP Convict. If you are a third-party developer, they are changing the SSO endpoints. So there's an SSO endpoint depreciation. So these are the endpoints that your application would talk to for doing authorizations, verifications, and token exchange. And so all the original auth points are being depreciated. You have to move to the new V2.1, and the overall verify endpoint is being depreciated. That's because now one of the endpoints will actually do your JSON web token, and you'll be able to do it'll actually do the actual token exchange itself. So, because each of the new V2 endpoints return them anyway. So, anyway, that's pretty technical. What this means for your apps, you're probably going to see this is going to happen November 1st. So depreciated endpoints can be removed anytime after November 1st. So right now the show is October 7th. So we basically have about 3 weeks and a day or two before CCP is going to turn these off. So for a player, if you're listening, that means is most of your applications that you currently use are, if they haven't already moved to the V2 tokens, they haven't done the upgrades, then please expect that you will see a lot of your apps going through an upgrade cycle, or possibly multiple of them. Or if the developer is absent, expect that your app could stop working if it hasn't been updated in a while. So pay attention to that, be ready for that, and have a backup plan. So if you're using something to track your manufacturing or your skill points or your training plans or whatever it is you're tracking in Eve, pay attention to the upgrade plans, see if you're on a program, an app that actually has an active developer base. Maybe now is a good time to change over if you're using a really old tool that the developer's gone absent for a year or two. If you haven't had any updates for a while, it's unlikely that, let's say it's like, I think a couple of years for sure, there's some tools that still work. Yeah, be prepared for that, have a backup. All right.
So the Nyx?
There is, yeah. So I was going to say, if you're a developer and you probably already know how to search out the endpoint depreciation, you're probably already looking at the blog. So anyways, if you're not a developer, like I said, keep an eye on it. All right, so someone lost a Nyx. Hold on, I just need to take a quick drink of water. I have a frog in my throat lately. It is not going away. It's crazy. All right, so someone lost a Nyx. Now, why are we telling you about a Nyx? Oh well, someone lost a Nyx. Darn. Well, this Nyx was unfitted, and it was in Ignatin, which is kind of a weird place to have a super carrier. So, was it a fire sale? Someone, it was an asset safety point, maybe. Was because there was a Keepstar there that got destroyed. Maybe they were just logged out or something, but I don't know. That Ignatin, if you don't know, is fairly close to JITA. It's like 3 jumps away from JITA. It's a pretty common low sec system for jump freighters and carriers, and there's lots of activity there. It's a bit of an odd place to have a super carrier, though, unless I guess we're thinking of having it there to defend structures. But why would it be unfitted? Like, there's something all very weird about this.
Yeah, there's a tower sentry, Serpentis one there on the kill mill as well. So very odd, very odd.
Like, yeah, it warped back somewhere, right? Like, or maybe they were trying to gate it next door. I don't know which gate this was. Yeah, I don't know. Does it show there? It should tell you what gate. I just closed it. Of course, I'm asking myself the same question. Ignatin Moon 20, Ignatin 5, Moon 23 is the closest location. All right, I think it would have told you if there was a gate. If it was on a gate, it would tell you that.
Right. So yeah, they were. I don't know what they were doing.
Something, but it just seems all sorts of weird, right? Well, that sucks, right? That sucks in general for you, Alessandro Yatolia, Rings of Hell Corporation, Outer Hell Alliance. Sorry that you lost your Nyx. Womp womp. All right. Let's see. Let's talk about we started kind of with a little haha combat. Let's go on with some other combat here. It seems like Siege Green is going to join Winterco. So, a quote from Noros: Siege Green finally decided to become a member of Winterco. I will write on this on the next State of the Union SOTA. And please give them access to the ratting and escalation channels. They have access to our core systems and will move here soon. So a number of people all thought, depending on how much you pay attention, a lot of people think Siege Green was already part of Winterco, but they are not. Now, what makes this interesting is Siege Green is mostly in the AU China time zone. I think there are a lot of Korean and Japanese players in Siege Green, right? So that gives them a fairly strong AU time zone, AU China time zone, right? So they've fought Snuff a lot in their low sec days. They wanted to move to Siege Green. They are kind of trying to move out of low sec and move a little bit forward. But this seems like now like a solid, okay, we're going to do this. They're going to more than likely be down in the south as well. Fire, Army of Mango, RC, that sort of thing, in that range, that area to pick on fights in there while they kind of just move on in and get to be part of nullsec. So this is a big, I think for me, the interesting aspect of this will be what happens in low sec, where Siege Green was very heavy in maintaining a lot of presence in a number of low sec systems. If they move all their assets now out into nullsec Winterco, there's a low sec void there. So there's some opportunity for smaller gangs, for some groups of people to maybe make a stand for themselves, and it might not be nullsec, but it's not HiSec either. And so there's some PvP, and there's some moons, and maybe there's Pocos, or who knows, right? There's some opportunities to maybe do some different things for some groups. Siege Green isn't large enough, in my opinion, to really be a low sec, null sec. You got to pick one. They have to pick one or the other, and it seems that they have picked null sec, and they're going to go with Winterco. So Yeah, all assets are gone already. From one of the members, I was going to check and I didn't get a chance. Does that include? Um, does that include though the POCOs that they were running and holding? I'd heard that a lot of their system, like their the citadels and stuff, had been moved, but maybe the POCOs aren't moved stuff. So
I'd
yeah,
imagine they'd just leave those in place until someone, come by and like took them out. So
yeah. I mean, you're not going to just tear them down or flip them or whatever. You're going to leave them and make money until someone. But the defenses of them are going to defending it is going to be a difficult thing to do, right? So
yeah, if someone decides to attack them, right now, um, Nullsec's still a scary place. There's a lot of very talented groups uh, all throughout Lowsec, so there's it's definitely it. Siege Green will leave a void in that realm of Lowsec, but there's plenty of players there, dock
no doubt.
workers, and there's plenty. There's
Yeah,
plenty
no doubt.
left.
No doubt. Yeah, I mean, unless they find people they can sell them to, right? Like I'm back to the Pocos, right? If someone comes along and says, "All right, look, I'll buy this stuff from you," then maybe they might take the money and run. But otherwise, they're just going to leave, and they'll leave a smattering of low sec if there's a bunch of players who already have their PI networks all set up. There might be. I'll just leave a jump clone in a NPC station and continue to run my PI out of this and maybe change. That'll be tough to do if you're a 2-day PI where you're running your PI every 2 days. If you're a once a week person, maybe it depends on what your strategy is on how effective keeping a clone will be back. I say that because I've done that. It's quite difficult to have your PI core. And if you're doing PI at a high level, you're doing it with multiple characters. It's a little difficult to be off in nullsec fighting and wanting to be on a specific character for hours or a couple characters doing nullsec campaigns or ratting, or even if you're not doing any war stuff, if you're just ratting or mining, it's just tough to split yourself across regions like that. It's just difficult. So, but some people will make a go of it, so they'll leave it more than likely until they yeah, and some Drake and Hoff, exactly right. Some from the audience, they're just going to leave them and keep the income until someone kills them. So that's more than likely what they'll do. All right, more combat. So it seems that Brave is starting to poke on the edges of Pure Blind. Um, they're going to basically starting to start the invasions, right? I'm playing with a frog in my throat. It is not going well here, folks. Sorry. Yeah, so Brave starts invasion of Pureblind. So they're starting to have fights with Banderlogs, with Toilet Paper, with Volta. So we're going to pay attention to Dotland. Start looking for systems to be flipped there in Pureblind. Soon, if Brave really focuses, they can have some pretty rapid success there. And so look forward to that happening.
Possibly. It's yet to be seen. The Bender logs are definitely not going anywhere, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, that's what I say. If they get a good concerted effort from the core of Brave, then that other people, other alliances are going to jump in and help, and still be space bros. There's still friends nearby and other kind of quasi friends who have no problem shooting Banderlogs or Volta or Toilet Paper, just to help out. And so, I don't know, Brave's pretty big. You gotta keep in mind the numbers here, right? So they can, but those numbers only work for you if you have coordination and you have a concerted effort to do so. If you don't, then these guys are not going to go anywhere. It's not going to be difficult for Banderlogs, Volta, Toilet Paper to completely defend themselves.
And you never know if stuff shows up, what will happen.
Absolutely, good point. Yep, exactly. If they just decide, hey, I'm gonna come and ruin your
Oh, look,
show.
There's Brave.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, oh, look, let's go kill him. Exactly.
Yep. That's what
Yeah,
happens.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. It can easily and quickly take place. All right, so let's move on to one last topic here tonight. HoboLeaks. This will be fairly quick. You know, I always have to say this. I feel compelled to say this. I am compelled to talk about HoboLeaks. I'm not a big fan of HoboLeaks, but I know the audience and people like to hear what's coming. Um, I don't know. I'm not just a super big fan of it, but it's part of the meta world of Eve, and so, anyways, here we are. So there is seems like a new demo filament that's coming up that for cruisers that will allow a cruiser to go into some sort of a visible dead space. It seems to be it's part of possibly the Triglavian. I don't know, Triglavian thing, the anniversary that's going to be coming up. So it could be part of that. But most of us are like not exactly sure what it's going to be. But there is the Triglaive anniversary coming up. And out of HoboLeaks, you also see that there's what's called a Totality Day. There will be an Abyssal PvP event. So I'm thinking the demo filament is going to be part of that, or some other storyline element, something in there maybe, right? And so I think for most of the this is my guess. So if you look at the other four big factions, they all had space where people, they had the parade. You could go to the different systems and see the in-game whatever, right? Fireworks show or parade of ships or whatever, right? How do you do that with Triglaive space? Do you expect everyone just to go into the Triglavian space? Maybe that's what this demo filament. This is what this demo filament helps support. You bring a cruiser, you have to go in there, you get to go into this demo space, is where there's a demonstration of power or a celebration of Triglavian power. That's my guess as to what I think it might be to help support the in-game event. Who knows? We'll see. We'll see it coming up. So anyways, that's next week. The Triglavian anniversary should be coming up. So if if you've been participating in the other ones, there's another one coming up. That's good news for those who support the Triglavian Empire. Should be fun. Also, Crimson Harvest Halloween event is returning. That'll be coming up probably in a couple weeks. I know last year I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. Kind of like what just happened with the drones. The low sec sites were the harder ones. They were easily done in like a Tech 2 destroyer. I used a Bifrost, fairly easy to do as long as you paid attention, but fit your ship right. So those are going to be coming up. I expect there's going to be lots of interest with that, and people like Hateless will do a walkthrough again, and all that sort of fun stuff. So that's pretty much what we got for the news. All right. So one quick question from the audience here was, why should we celebrate Thief's Day, T-Day? Yeah, well, good. Yeah, you steal our space and you want us to celebrate now. Exactly. So I don't know. Some people are Triglaive supporters, so maybe they want to celebrate Triglavian Liberation Day, if that's what you want to consider it. Huh. So, anything you want to talk about, Manicsar, or is there any other items you think we missed?
I think that about covers it. Unfortunately, like I said earlier, that I've been playing New World, so I'm kind of not up to date on Eve the past couple weeks. So, although I do plan on coming back, right? So yeah, maybe next week or the week after, we'll have more input.
Okay. Well, myself, I've been doing a lot of home construction, a lot of painting. I'm knee deep in, building a new pantry and stuff like that. So, but even when I am playing Eve, just in general, it's a little bit slower. It's a little odd for October. Usually it starts picking back up. Summer, schools all back in full swing for whether you're in high school or university, college. It's not outdoors, isn't quite as much activity. Weather's changing in most of the either hemisphere one way or the other. It's a season of change. Usually gaming increases in October and Eve. So I'm noticing that when I've been in, it's just it hasn't been as busy. So I'm looking forward to hearing the October report to see what the player base numbers are and what the overall, and I mean, it's anyone's guess as to why. Is it the new game that's come out? Is it just burnout? Is it the war kind of artificially increased a player base count and a kind of revitalization of Eve, but it was short-lived? I mean, I'm postulating, I'm guessing here a little bit. Maybe I'm just not in the right places of space, and it's busy as hell in certain places. It's just not where I'm at and not what I'm doing.
I think it still has to do with the outbreak, everything, COVID, and everybody was on lockdown so long and played like tons of Eve. Like, I'm sure New World's gonna have some effect short term. There just hasn't been a real AAA MMO released with the kind of Western theme in a long time. So I think that will draw a lot of like Western players, European, U.S. players for a month or so probably.
Yep.
And I think people will start. I think E will start coming back around November, December, once the weather starts getting a little cooler. Because it's really nice right now, like weather here in the U.S. right now, especially in the East Coast. Like it's a great time to be outside. And I've been inside playing New World, so
yeah, it was 92 degrees here in Texas. I went swimming today. I got into the pool. The water was a little chilly, but you got over in the sunshine, and the water still felt good. And it was 92 degrees. It was crazy down here in Texas today, where I'm
at. Where I live, we're about around 70 degrees outside, nice. And it's the lows getting down to the mid 40s, 50s.
Yeah, so 70 degrees for those who speak Celsius. That's right
it's
at
Fahrenheit.
About 19 Celsius. 92 Fahrenheit is 31 or 32, 30, 31 Celsius. So yeah, it's pretty nice. So okay. So one last thing for myself. What I've been trying to do, and this is part of the slowdown, and I've been reaching out to people. Let me just take a minute to talk about this. Is what I'd like to try to do on Thursdays in general on talking stations. Patch days usually on Tuesday. Cover that. Weekends tend to be the busier time, so any big battles and stuff either get covered on the Tuesday or the Wednesday show. Sunday is the experts and the breakdown of stuff, and they really dive in. So Thursdays usually just in general Eve from patches or stuff like that is a little slower. But what I like to do is I do like to interview people. I like to have people on the show, and I like to hear people's points of view, like I did a few weeks ago with MDD Teller. I like to highlight slightly different game styles. I like to highlight things that are a little bit unique, or things that are different, or if there's if you've accomplished something in the game and you want to come on even for 10 or 15 minutes to talk about it, I'll probably have my wife back on again. If any of you have spouses that suffer or partners that suffer from the Eve widow syndrome, where they, you play so much Eve, if you're listening, if they want to come on and talk about it, I can try to coordinate that along with my wife and I'd like to dig into that topic a little bit deeper. Anyways, come on to Discord, find me on Discord, on the Talking Station Discord, send me a message. If you want to talk about something completely different, you want to, get your partner on air along with my wife and others. I'm looking for other people to come on to the show and talk about Eve stuff, whatever it is, right? So there's my little personal pimp out of the Thursday night show. You can find me. You can even find Manicsar if you want. Abby Rova, another person you can find. Yeah, an Eve's Wife Club, basically, right? Yeah, that's AutoBeat mentioned that in the channel. For sure. Anyways, but that's the request. If anyone wants to come on, just find us. And with that, we will call an end to this Thursday night show of Talking Stations. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate your time. Thanks for spending time with us. Have a good night.